This video is brought to you by Darkshorecapital, crafting capital management solutions for your world. Hello, Andrew here for Darkshorecapital. Let's go ahead and get into the market update. Since the last market update, I've made some changes, removing some items no longer needed, and adding in things like osmonite ore due to its relevance to blacksmithing uncanny gear. I'm going to be reevaluating the inclusions on this list over the next coming weeks. If you have any suggestions, I'd love to hear them. For the first topic, I'd like to talk about the main mighty Caravan Brutosaur. It's a process, so I did actually acquire this mount, as you can see by the screenshot on your screen. It's a process I began on May 13th of 2020, and I started with just about 1 million gold. The Expulsum Shuffle, combined with crafting Uncanny, the eye level 400 gear, was a main focus for me, due to the high profit margins that you get from crafting this gear. As with many activities in WoW and in real life, doing things that others are either too lazy to do or simply just don't want to do are always going to be profitable. And anyone who's familiar with the Expulsum Shuffle knows exactly how tedious it is. In addition, I had somewhere around 100 battle pets from various cross-server battle pet arbitrage pursuits in the past that I pretty much just put up for a fire sale. Battle pets tend to be not terribly liquid assets, so unfortunately I had to dump most of them for some pretty good deals. So I'm sure some fellow gold makers on Area 52 got some excellent deals on battle pets. Another thing that I did was much along a similar vein was crafted transmog items. I just tried to get as many of the high value ones as possible up for, not dirt cheap or anything, but enough to add a bit more of a supplemental gold income there. Let's see, what else we got? BFA content. World quests and emissaries actually provide a decent amount of gold if you can do them in a really strategic manner. Sometimes the emissary reward is 2,000 gold, which, that's 2,000 gold. And if they have a pretty efficient pattern, you can, go just knock them out 1, 2, 3, 4 really easily with flying. It can be pretty effective. I had one character with exalted reputations that I also took advantage of completing the Paragon reputations for a bonus 4,000 gold, even more. And then, of course, just doing random world quests can add a little bit more gold. Specifically, things that reward Expulsum, gold, or crafting materials that are profitable based on the turn-ins for them. The last little bit of gold that I needed to get the Brutosaur mount was actually just selling a guild that I didn't need. I had 2 guilds and didn't need one and just need some quick cash, so spam trade chat for a bit. Got some gold and went and bought myself a dinosaur. So all said and done, I finished it up on July 21st, a total of 69 days, making, for this process it was making 4 million gold, 5 million total, and now I have an auction house mount. Moving on, I actually want to talk about setting goals because I think it's a fascinating topic I've thought about quite a bit more recently. And World of Warcraft, in my experience, and upon reflection, is more enjoyable when you have a long-term goal to work for. The main thing that comes to mind for me personally was during Wrath of the Lich King expansion. I, at the very beginning, kind of set myself the goal of, I'm going to kill the Lich King. I'm going to kill Arthas. And throughout the entire 2 years or so, however long that expansion was around, I always had something to work towards. Obviously, the Icecrown Citadel raid was not released at the beginning of the raid, but there was always something to do, whether it be getting better gear, joining a better guild, just setting myself up for success. That really dictated how I played the game and gave it purpose, which was, in the end, incredibly rewarding. I've listed a few other examples personally that have brought me some clarity and purpose to playing World of Warcraft, obviously making 5 million gold. Collecting old legendary items, that's just a personal thing that I like to do. In classic World of Warcraft, which I've been playing a little bit more recently, obtaining an epic mount, that was a big goal that I set for myself and was able to achieve. And then finally, the thing that sort of got me thinking about all this stuff, I'm sure some of you are familiar with some of the more interesting old school RuneScape videos that have been coming out recently. Not to get too deep into it, but effectively there's these players playing this game, old school RuneScape, and they put these ridiculous restrictions on themselves, causing them to, but ridiculous restrictions in addition to some kind of overarching goal. And it generates some obviously very interesting content because I don't play RuneScape, but I still watch these videos, and just purpose. So yeah, have some goals. It's going to make the game so much more enjoyable. That said, I have set myself 2 goals going into Shadowlands. First one being to get a gold cap. At the end of BFA, I decided that as a gold maker, I needed to have an auction house mount. Well, next step seems pretty obvious. I should probably get a gold cap. So there you go. That's the first goal. Second goal is a bit more of a personal thing for just enjoying the game. The thing I enjoyed the most during the course of BFA was arena PvP. So I'm going to set myself the goal in Shadowlands to achieve the Gladiator rank. These two kind of complement each other nicely because if I can't get to the Gladiator rank by the end of it by myself, well, I've heard that some individuals who play World of Warcraft are willing to exchange in-game gold for services rendered. Speaking of the new expansion, I wanted to go over a few things that I've had success with in the past in previous expansions. The first thing, flipping BOEs. So at the beginning of an expansion, everyone needs gear. And at the beginning of the expansion, also, people don't really know what the established prices are for things, which introduces quite a bit of volatility into the market. And if you've spent any time flipping anything in WoW or otherwise, you know that volatility is kind of the lifeblood of the entire pursuit. You buy low, you sell high. So, if you can flip things that people need early on, there's plenty of demand. And if you can get a good supply, obviously there's a decent amount of luck involved with that, but also just time spent looking out. You'll find something eventually. You just have to study the market, know what's good, and, have a bit of the initiative to go out there and make some money with it. Next is flipping flasks, which is very much along the similar lines. This one actually, interestingly enough, it kind of exploits human nature a little bit. What I noticed during Legion actually was that flask prices seemed a little bit low, and I had a hunch that they would go up in price significantly once the raid was released. This would have been Emerald Nightmare back in Legion. So I bought up a bunch of flasks at whatever price they were at the time, and lo and behold, first raid week came around, and what do you know, the flasks are selling like hotcakes for at least double the price because, well, these raiders were not prepared. So there you go. I would put good money on the fact that that's going to be the same in this next expansion. And then finally, the Sky Golem crafted mount. If any of you are familiar with that, you'll know that it is pretty much essential for anyone who's not a druid if you want to do any kind of herbalism, especially early on in an expansion before flying is a thing. It lets you gather herbs while still mounted, and that obviously is a huge advantage because you can not only go faster, but have you're less likely to have to deal with mobs chasing you and messing with your herbalism. So I stockpiled a bunch of mounts going into BFA, Sky Golem mounts, and sure enough, they increased in price. I don't know if it was necessarily worth the time involved because I probably spent a good year or so stockpiling Sky Golem mounts off and on before I actually cashed in on the price increase. And this is something that's been going on for the past few expansions. So there's also a decent chance that, everyone already has one. Obviously, there will still be some people, some new players perhaps, that need one and want to try out herbalism. So the money will be there, but just maybe not as great as it has been in the past. I will touch on just briefly what my plan is for this time around. So I'm planning to play a rogue and a priest in Shadowlands, both with engineering. I just have found that engineering is way too valuable, especially combined with an auction house mount these days, to not have. So both my characters will have engineering, and then probably the rogue, who I'll probably level up first, will have herbalism, just to take advantage of higher herb prices at the beginning of an expansion. Whether or not I sell those raw or try to use them in a Darkmoon Fair Trinket Shuffle, that remains to be seen. News, obviously, Shadowlands, big news is it's been delayed. I'm not going to go into too much details on that. Pre-patch is going to be October 13th. So there you go. That's your Brutosaur mounted deadline. if that's something that you are interested in acquiring. I've got a few questions written down here that I'm going to go over. Number 1, is there a way to track what pops up on the black market auction house? There is. I'm sure there's multiple ways. The one I do know of is if you have Trade Skill Master Premium, they have a feature on their website that allows you to just see what's on the black market auction house for any given server. I would definitely recommend that. Next question, I cannot beat the constant cancel scanners, nor can I join them. Is raw gold farming my best option? There's really no best option when it comes to gold making. That's something you're going to have to discover for yourself. I will say that raw gold farms, such as MOP, WAD, and Legion raids, are all fairly lucrative. You're not going to be breaking the bank by any means, but a good few thousand gold just for going around running a few old raids for a few hours, it's not too bad. Depending on what your goals are, which, again, make some goals, because that's going to help out a lot. Depending on what your goals are, it could be good for you. Especially if you're into something like farming gold transmog. Those are two overlapping things that can help complement each other. Somewhat along the same lines, the best profession, question mark? Well, there is no best profession. They're all the best professions. You can make money with anything. You just have to put your mind to it and figure things out. My favorite thing to do when any variation of this question comes up is to plug Ryan Reckles' video about professions that he made a few years ago. I'll make sure to leave a link in the description to that video. I've linked it many, many times and will continue to do so whenever it comes up. And lastly, where have you been? Yes, obviously this is the first This Week in Gold Making that has been coming out in quite a while. I'll just keep it brief. I played some classic WoW. I made a bunch of gold for the Brutosaur mount, and I've just been playing Battle for Azeroth, enjoying the content. I did take a pretty significant break from retail WoW, so just doing the BFA things has been enjoyable. It's a little ridiculous, as I'm sure any of you who've played the game as it's meant to be played will attest to, with all the different systems. But yeah, I've been enjoying it and rediscovered my love for arena combat. So that's going to do it for this week. My name is Andrew. This has been Darkshore Capital. Here's a list of some potential future topics. Let me know if you have any interest in listening to them. There's obviously never a shortage of things to talk about and do in the world of gold making. So until next time, happy gold making.